Hello everyone, welcome to a special afternoon stream. Just gonna keep working on the stuff that I was working on this morning. Gotta add some combat rewards. I mean, we already have combat rewards, but the goal right now is to make only one of the combat rewards choosable by the player, which was the whole point of the sort of refactoring that I did this morning. So we're going to see if we can get that to work. That's going to be quite interesting. I think there's a pretty straightforward approach to this, but it's just going to take a little bit of effort to get it working. But before I get into it, let's just blow through these ads really quick. Of course, you can wishlist Alchemortis if you haven't already, and if you're interested in the game, I would very much appreciate that if you would do that. And you could also support the game on Patreon. There's a bunch of great perks. If you subscribe for at least 1 month at this $15 a month tier, I'm going to send you an Alchemortis Steam key, and I'm also going to put your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. Someone just knocked on my door, but I think it was UPS, so we're good. It's safe to ignore. Anyway, and you could also purchase one of my courses, and what else? I think that's it. Every way you can support me and the project is linked below, and the Discord is also linked below, so hop on in there if you want. And let's get right into it. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome back again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, A the Ant. Bonus. Welcome, RN Genesis. Hello, Decalift. Welcome back. Ninja Link. Hello. Secret or not so secret bonus stream. Well, it's not a secret anymore. It's live. It's public. We got one stream, yes, but what about second stream? Hello, Buias, welcome back. Kinyaz, good to see you. Happy January 7th. It's January 6th here for me, but these dang time travelers. Alchemortis, yes. All right, so yeah. Let's figure out what we're going to do about this combat reward stuff. So if I go to my combat configuration, we have these get reward cards here. This will be added to the card overflow. So this card overflow manager was originally just for overflow cards, but I have a slightly different requirement now, which is that the combat reward cards, you can only choose one. So let's first of all make this reward 3 cards. And then in the card overflow manager here, it wouldn't really be appropriate for me to add the combat stuff in here, but I think I'm going to anyway because I don't really feel like spinning up an entirely different node for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, maybe I'll rename this at some point, but I'm just going to add some methods in here for handling combat rewards specifically. Again, this is not necessarily the cleanest thing to do, but combat reward cards, it's all right. So we're going to do public static, add combat reward cards. We will do here, Add card to combat rewards. Okay, and then in here, okay, and then we will do a public static bool has combat reward cards. Probably don't really need that, but we will handle that. Get overflow cards, clear overflow cards. Is this ever? Yeah, this is called. Okay, so let's go ahead and do get public static list base card, get combat reward cards. Okay, so there's a lot of duplication here, but like I said, I'm not going to worry about cleaning it up too much. Let's just get it working first, and who knows, maybe this script will never change ever again. And we could just follow the out of sight, out of mind principle. Anyway, so there's that. Then I'm probably going to need to do, so I have this overflow card event state machine. I think what I'll probably do is just copy this as well. We'll create a new file, combat rewards, state machine, combat rewards event state machine .cs. Cool, and we will worry about this later. Let's go to the run manager. Let's change this to or card reward. Okay. If card overflow manager dot has combat reward cards, we're going to change into the state combat rewards. Okay. State machine, I change state combat rewards. We're going to create a new card overflow event state machine. No, we're going to do a new combat rewards event state machine. Okay, on event state machine finished. Cool. All right, so that should work. We'll go into this combat rewards event state machine. So we're going to want to set this to get combat reward cards. But what I'm also going to want to do, create overflow container, is I'm going to want a way to set this as single choice. So let's do public void set as single choice. And let's go ahead and do board inventory component card dimmer component enable. And then we'll go ahead and do this. And we'll just rename this to card taken. I think that's basically all we need to do here. So in here, card taken, on card taken, clear combat reward cards. Let me just check something here. I just want to make sure these cards are cleaning themselves up. Yeah, should be working. Okay. Anyway. Get combat reward cards, play in, and then we're gonna do overflow container dot set as single choice. Okay. And then in here, oh, I should never rename that, I guess. I got a little bit too carried away with the renaming. Oh, yeah. Okay. I shouldn't have made that change. Oops. So we're going to want private bool is single choice. We don't need to set it to false. Thank you, though. AI. If is single choice or... What was the line I had in here before? Not board component dot has cards. Okay. Alrighty. So with all of that in place, I guess we're going to see if my system works here. Let's see what happens. Hello, V. Yes, bonus stream. Son of a brisket. Hello, Neozoid. Welcome. I solved one bug at work today. Marvelous productivity. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Ugh. Can't click. So what this should do is this should give me 3 rewards to choose from, only one of which can be taken. So let's go ahead and beat a combat encounter here. Okay. It isn't working. It's not working at all. Did I forget to call that? Combat rewards event state machine. Set a single choice. Board dot. Oh. But for some reason this isn't working. Set as single choice, card dimmer component enable. So I wonder why that's not working. Update regions, initialize card mask, connect signals. Well, let's see. Let's just check it out again. I read somewhere that average developer writes 20 lines of code a day. I wonder if it's true. Yeah, you never know. Why isn't that working? Let's see. So I get my 3 reward cards, and I can take one. Yeah, that's not working at all. Okay. State combat rewards. Okay. Combat rewards event state machine. Get combat reward cards. Cards taken. So we go to the overflow container. On card transferred. If from inventory is single choice. Emit signal cards taken. So I don't know why this isn't working all of a sudden. Clear combat reward cards. Queue free the overflow container. Yeah, this is just not working. I don't know. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to do this, which kind of sucks, but I think this logic is pretty straightforward, so I don't know why this isn't working. It's time for game dev once again. Yes, it is. Welcome. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Is single choice is false. So this is never being set as a single choice. Well, that would explain that. Why is this never being called? Why is this in here? Get rid of that. Oh, you know what? It's probably because I'm never adding it. Hold on a second. Yeah, this has to be add combat reward cards. Okay. That makes sense. So I was actually never getting into that state because I was adding the cards to the wrong list. So that would explain that. We should be golden now, Ponyboy. We should be golden now, Ponyboy. All right, let's see. And it didn't work. Let's go to my remote scene tree. We've got no errors. Remote. Event camera, game UI, half containers. Oh, it's not even there. Oh wait, here we go. No? It did not create this? Okay, we'll put another breakpoint here, I suppose. I thought this would be a lot more direct than it is, but I guess we have some issues to resolve. So it wasn't even getting into that combat state, it looked like. Let's see. Yeah, it's not even getting to that state, so it's not even adding this. All of that is correct. Change state combat rewards. Combat rewards, state machine. So it's never getting into this state here. Why is that not happening? Well, I guess put a breakpoint here. We game dev again? Yes. Welcome back, Evan. To use resource to design and hold all of your card data. Yeah, all the card data is stored in resources, all the sort of base card data. How do you code your card effects? That is going to have to be a long form video because it's very complicated. You could think of it though as like I've created a bunch of building blocks for my ability system. I've created a bunch of abilities which are building blocks for my system, and then the way I've built it is I can put those building blocks together in any number of ways to accomplish all kinds of different effects. So this is true. State combat rewards. Huh. Oh, I forgot to add the state here. Why isn't that should push an error. I don't know why that doesn't push an error, but that's okay. All right, now we should be good. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not going to find a tutorial on how to do the ability system in the way that I've done it. It's my ability system. I mean, you'll find similar things maybe, but it's not like I looked at some how to implement an ability system documentation or tutorial and followed that. I just built it. And so there's a lot to talk about there. I think there's interesting stuff, but yeah, it's not like there's going to be a tutorial that shows you how to build the system that I've built, if that's what you're looking for. So I'll do a video on it, and there are going to be tutorials out there how to build an ability system, but it's just not going to be the same as what I've built. Which is fine because, if you're just trying to learn how to build an ability system, it's probably best to follow those tutorials. Okay, this is not working. This is not working. The whole reason I did that dimmer component was to make this easier, and it's not working. I have been stumped once again. I have been stumped once again. Now we're back to back buffer copy issues. Well, now I'm wondering... You know what the common thread is here? Every time I use a back buffer copy, it's on a different canvas layer. I wonder if that's... That might be what's making them work. Shoot. Dang it. Let's do this. Card overflow manager. Add combat reward cards. Base cards, let's just do card factory dot create card. Skeleton warrior. Just do this a bunch of times. Okay. This should hopefully tighten that feedback loop here, so we could test it easier. So I go here, skip this, I should see 3 skeletons. Might need a different approach for this. These should be dimming out, but they're not. I guess I can verify that that's working. So let's do attach to process. We'll go ahead and attach it to Godot, and then I'll go to my card dimmer component. And let's just look for fade card selection out. Put a breakpoint there. Yeah, so that is working. I think I'm once again being struck by this back buffer copy not working. Can I preview these? I think I'm once again being struck by this back buffer copy not working. Let's see, event camera, game UI. Can I modify this material in here? I don't think so. Oh, maybe I can. Doesn't do anything. Interesting. Path to node is invalid. That's not relevant for me. It's like a common command pattern for the abilities. You have a set of commands and chaining them results in whatever those commands do. Yeah. I know the general method. I probably have to design my own as well. Most are using command patterns like wrapping code in an object. Yeah, I think the trick to getting a lot of flexibility from something like an ability system is to create, well, you try to keep each ability as narrow as possible. So for instance, like if I just look at my damage ability here, really all the damage ability does is it just does damage. That's all it does. And if I want to modify the amount of damage that's being done, it implements ability magnitude, and I can set the magnitude. I can call set magnitude on it from other abilities, right? So, but the damage just does the damage that it's set to do. I also have abilities that are basically just a way of keeping a count of something. So I've got an execution count provider, which is an ability. Whenever it executes, it just increments the count. So these are very, very basic building block abilities, but through the application or implementation of a couple of interfaces that I have, I can get values out of these abilities, I can set values on the abilities, and then I can chain those together in a bunch of different ways. But yeah, I think the trick really is to be as narrow as possible with those abilities. And if you have, let's say, you have a damage ability, but you want to increase the damage by a certain number if a condition happens, you don't want to do that within the damage ability itself. You want something external that can coordinate the new damage output and just set that value on the damage directly. Otherwise, you're going to be introducing a ton of conditionals into your damage ability, which might look like it increases flexibility at first, but it actually decreases your flexibility over time. So you keep building these layers of abstractions, you keep building these other like helper abilities that can stitch certain things together or do certain operations. And I think that's the way I've built out the system anyway. Maybe a back buffer copy should be a parent holding all of their shader components. It doesn't matter whether it's a parent or not. All that matters according to the documentation is that it occurs first in the process order. That's what it says in the documentation anyway. So that's called a canvas layer. I was wondering what it was called when you stack stuff on same as the index, small things like this. Yeah. Nonchalantly programming terms, yeah. Maybe the card should be dimmed in the first place. The problem is not with the code. The problem is with the dimming, the visual effects of actually getting the card to dim. That's the core issue. All of the code is fine. It's just something about the way that the back buffer copy works and the way that I'm applying the shaders is it's just not producing the intended result. Now, the weird thing is that it produces the intended result in alchemy here, right? So if I look at this and I apply this, see the cards are being dimmed, right? So that works just fine. However, when I go to take the combat rewards, which will show up here, the dimming is not happening here. And this is despite the fact that this card dimmer component is present on all boards, and so the exact same functionality is being used between the alchemy drawer here, this alchemy little scene, and also that combat rewards scene. It's the exact same code. And it doesn't work in one situation, it works in another. And the only difference is that the alchemy drawer is within a canvas layer on its own. So it's got, I guess you could say, like maybe a different rendering order, a different rendering pipeline. And the combat rewards are not on a canvas layer. So maybe it's the case that can you not use multiple back buffer copies? Does that not work? We're going to struggle with this again, I suppose. I want to try something. I'm going to duplicate this back buffer copy. Oops, I didn't mean to run that scene. Oopsie daisies. So the combat rewards UI is a control node. It's a series of control nodes and a node 2D and node 2Ds. Is there no other way to implement a dimming effect that's not related to rendering, like an overlay? No, because the problem is that every pixel that gets drawn to the screen needs to be a color in the color palette. So putting an overlay on it and then just like using transparency is going to create pixels that are not in the color palette. Okay, so that doesn't work either. I might just need to take a different approach. Maybe I can use the sub viewport alone for this. I don't know how I would do it with sub viewports though. What happens? No, I can't use a canvas layer here. I have a feeling that back buffer copies are not working the way that they should be. Is there, let's see. Someone earlier mentioned an issue about back buffer copy. Okay, so let's see. It doesn't have to be a dimming effect. You can come up with a good original effect for the board only. Colors and only indicator, scale and position work well too. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, about that. If there's an alternate way I could display or indicate to the user that you can only choose one in a visual sense. Okay. I'm just trying some random nonsense now. Oops. No, I'm good. I'm good. Thought I just closed my editor. I did not. Yeah, I might have to do some kind of other visual effect. Yeah, this is not ideal. Let's change this type to a canvas layer instead. I have a couple of things that I want to try. The canvas layer won't work because this back buffer copy is not going to copy anything, so that's not going to work. Let's maybe change the z-index of this, of the back buffer copy, and the z-index of the fade color rect as well, maybe? We will do some experimentation for science. Okay, that didn't work. Let's change the z-index of this to 1 as well. That didn't work. If I reorder it, it doesn't work. I mean, I don't even know if this is hot reloading, but what happens if I get rid of the z-index here, get rid of the z-index here, put this z-index there? I think the documentation for back buffer copy is gaslighting me. I don't think it's working. I just simply don't think it's working. All right, well, what other things could I do here? Let me think. What are my options? One other option I have is to put that board in a canvas layer itself. Put this board in a canvas layer. That might work. Will that work? Let's try it. That might be the way to fix it. Let's see. Oh, fudge. Oh, fudge. No, this is not going to work. Is it going to work? No. Well, we'll just try this anyway. This is going to break my entire UI flow, but that's all right. Let's just see if this works. Hello, MF Biggs. As someone joining in the middle of a stream, what are we updating? Well, I'm struggling with some visual effects right now. What I'm doing is, after each combat in my game, I'm awarding the player with a choice of one of 3 cards here. And what I need to do is I need to dim the other cards that are not hovered so that the player is aware that those cards cannot be chosen. But Godot is giving me some issues with that, unfortunately. Yeah, let's try this. So right now I'm just experimenting and seeing if I can even get it to work in the first place. And if I can't, then we might have to take a different approach. But it makes sense to dim it through the shader on the card itself. Yeah, so the problem is, I mean, maybe I need to rethink some things, but the problem is the card is not one piece of art. The card is this entire thing here. So we've got the card background, we've got the card background effects, we've got the actual sprite here, we've got alchemy effects that play, we've got other card effects that can play. And the idea is that this whole thing should be drawn as a group. Or yeah, it could be drawn as a group, which I could then dim all at once. However, I suppose it is an option that we could put a dimming material on here instead and just dim the card art itself. That may be the way to go. but this is still not working. I am hereby declaring the back buffer copy an entirely useless node that has no discernible functionality whatsoever. I think this must just not be working the way that you would think it works. There is no other explanation here. Let me try this. I'm going to switch to compatibility renderer. Let's see if the behavior changes if I change the renderer. Probably not, but we'll see. Probably not, but we will see. Let me see if this still works. Oh, it doesn't dim properly on here now. Okay. So it's probably not going to work here then. Get out of here. Okay. All right. I feel very defeated at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I think what you suggested, Tom, we could just dim the sprite art itself. That's not the ideal situation. Ideally, I would love to be able to grab all of this as a single texture, basically, and then change the shading all at once. But if Godot is not going to make that easy for me, then the alternative is to do exactly what you suggested, which is to put a material on the sprite itself and just dim the sprite art. Now, that's going to present a problem. You know, let's say that down the road I wanted to do an additional legendary effect on the card art, and I wanted to make like, I wanted to apply a shader to the card art that made it like more vibrant or somehow. I would not be able to do that because I would have to have two materials in the same sprite, and so I'd be exactly in the same position, which is that, yeah, I'd have to figure out a way to manage those, but let's not worry about future problems just yet. Seriously, who came up with the name Godot? Could they have named it anything? They came up with that. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I think it's fine. You cannot use a canvas group on the card. I can't use a canvas group on the card because I would run into the canvas group nesting problem. In the past, I used viewports to do these sort of shenanigans. Yeah, viewport is an option. However, I don't want to necessarily make every card have a viewport. So every card would have its own viewport. That doesn't seem right to me. I mean, it probably would be fine in terms of performance, but I think I'd rather not do that. And in terms of the card dimmer component, yeah, this is just kind of baffling. Bro's ready to start the back buffer copy war, yeah. I'm getting secondhand rage by this issue being so persistent at this point. I usually create a separate entire project to take around and understand the issue. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, it's not like I can't tinker with the back buffer copy. I've done plenty of tinkering. The problem is I just can't discern how it's supposed to work, because the way that the documents describe how it's supposed to work is not how it works. Just as far as I can tell, it's not how it works. So, no, all of the tinkering that I've done has just created more confusion. It hasn't clarified basically anything. So yeah, I don't, that's why I'm kind of like, does this node even work at all? Like, the documentation is pretty clear about how it's supposed to work, and it just doesn't work that way. You're so patient, I would have already created a whole new concept of disabled cards. Yeah, I mean, the only way out is through. Desperate move. How have you tried asking an AI to come up with an explanation solution? The problem is, I could ask the AI, but the problem is that this is such a niche issue with such a niche Godot node and an engine that's already not as popular as other engines, that I'm more likely to get garbage in the AI output than I am to get anything actually useful. So I basically haven't even tried. Because I figured it would just be a waste of time. Which, maybe I'd be wrong, maybe I'd be pleasantly surprised, but in the past when I've tried to ask these kind of niche questions about how Godot nodes work or whatever, the AI is just completely wrong. It just hallucinates things that don't exist. It's not super expensive to use small viewports. Maybe there's an official forum or community where the issue could be posted. A link to the last stream would work. Is this the problem I want to solve? Why doesn't it work? Yeah, I could do that, but... Alright, let's do this real quick. I'm just going to read through this one additional time just in case I missed anything. Okay. I just think this just seems like an underbaked node to me, because this documentation, tell me this isn't confusing. Copy mode disabled. Disables the buffering mode. This means the back buffer copy node will directly use the portion of screen it covers. What does that mean? Is it disabled or is it using something? Let's see. I'm just playing around now. It's not going to work, but that's all right. Oh, I broke the dimming here now. Oh, because I changed the Z index, probably. Let's put that back. Would asking an AI something else, like explaining how the back buffer thing works, to be beneficial, as the documentation doesn't seem to be helpful? I mean, that's an interesting idea. What I could do is I could maybe include additional information. Like I could even include the source code of back buffer copy, and we could look at that and feed that into the AI and see if that would help. Okay. Let's put this back. Put that back the way that it was. I'm kind of curious. Let's see. Here's the source code for back buffer copy. Is this going to be useful at all? No. This goes into the rendering server singleton. Canvas item set copy to back buffer. Rendering server. Oh, this is the header file. So yeah, I'm not gonna be able to discern anything useful about this, I don't think. It looks like this just goes directly to the rendering server and sets the back buffer copy mode. So this is a very small class, actually. So all of the logic for handling this would be in the rendering server, and I do not have the expertise to be able to discern what's going on there. So we'll take a different approach here. Maybe we can return to the back buffer copy at some point, but man, I would love to, just bothers me why does it work in some situations and not others? That's the thing that's kind of bothers me. I can't discern, aside from a separate canvas layer being used, but even when I just put that overflow container into another canvas layer and it didn't work. So I don't know about that, but this works just fine here. All right, we'll do a different approach. It's fine. Last time I tried it with the back buffer copies, nothing came out of it, hence the viewport shenanigans. Yeah. Screen reader shader link has a back buffer example. Screen reader shader link. Where is that? Are you talking about the documentation that's linked here? Screen reading shaders? So I already read through this. So in this case, if shaders that use hidden screen texture overlap, the second one will not use the result of the first one, right? So they use a back buffer copy for each of the lenses. They use a shader to apply the lens. And then after the first one is drawn, the second lens will be able to pick that up and use that first lens texture as part of its drawing. It's part of its rendering. I understand that. I definitely understand that. What I don't understand is why my back buffer copy is not copying anything. That's what I don't understand. Anyway, I've already burned enough time on this. Would you like to take a look at my project? It's a Sonic fan-made project, though. No, I don't. Sorry, I don't have time to look at individual projects. If you want to submit your project for code review, you can do that. You could just go to one of my code review videos and find the Google form link for that. But thank you for asking. And welcome to the stream, Sonic Battle. Looks like it does copy something. We have not. How are you testing the back buffer copy? As far as I know, the back buffer will still be rendered. So if you're dimming by reducing the alpha, it's not going to work. I'm not reducing the alpha, I'm changing the color of the pixels. I feel like the project is a bit messy, could use a professional to look at it. I am a professional. Does other Godot devs encounter the same problems? I don't know, that's a good question. I'm not advanced enough to get the details. Usually it creates a copy of what is displayed. With that option turned off, is not creating a copy. So the way that it should work, just to rehash, the way that this should work, the back buffer copy, is it copies the region of the screen that it covers to the back buffer, and it makes that texture, whatever it copied, available to a shader via the hint screen texture. So whatever shader comes next in the processing order after the back buffer copy will have the back buffer copy's texture passed into it via the hint screen texture uniform sampler 2D here. That's what the documentation very clearly states. The problem is that, I mean, what I could do in here, for instance, is I could do this. I could say color is equal to vec4 1.0. So I could just change it to white, and then we could see no, that's not going to work. Let's take the screen color. Let's do color is equal to screen color time. Let's do this. Color.rgb is equal to screen color.rgb times 0.5. So this is the shader that's in the fade color rect. So I should be taking the texture from the back buffer copy here and basically sampling that screen texture color, which is the screen color here. Texture, screen UV. Does that need to be screen UV? Maybe that needs to be UV, but we'll check it out. Color RGB, so we're taking that screen color there, and we're just gonna multiply it by 5, and that's what's gonna fill up this fade color rect here. So let's see what that does. Maybe that will give us a hint. Maybe that will give us a hint. Is directly applied to the actual original screen. Second stream, hello Mark. Yeah, I think it's a little bit confusing. I think it forces the renderer to push the rendered image to the back buffer. It was in the documentation. Planning to develop my own game, however, I can't come up with an idea. I know it must be 2D and have some sort of multiplayer element. Might just be that the node interacts poorly with canvas groups. It could be. Want to create something to prove in a few weeks just to prove that I can do it. Yeah, I would definitely encourage you to try to make a small project in a few weeks. And I wish you luck. I hope you do it. Have you checked out the comments in the docs of the back buffer copy section? I have not. Oops. Okay, let's see. So yeah, that's working. See how that dimmed everything? So I took the screen color RGB channels and I just multiplied that by half. Interesting. Here's so the back buffer copy is copying the proper region of the screen. Is the mask viewport wrong? Maybe maybe I improperly maligned the back buffer copy. Maybe this viewport is wrong. Let's try, let's do this. Sprite 2D. We're gonna make this texture a viewport texture. Okay, so we'll just make that sprite 2D equal to that viewport texture, and we're gonna turn off centered. Okay, so, but that is, see how this little region here, this is exactly the region that's being copied by the back buffer. Then I'm reading the texture color in the shader from that back buffer, and I'm darkening all the pixels by half. So that tells me that the back buffer there is working. That tells me that that's working. Okay, all right. Are we making progress? I feel like I'm not making progress. I feel like every piece of information I glean is just like confusing, but we're gonna try it. So now I'm gonna render the contents of the viewport and see if maybe that's the problem. Oh, did I unfairly malign this? Hold on. Back buffer copy might still be valid. Let's see. When I call enable, we initialize card masks. For each var card in owner board inventory component get cards on board, we're adding the card mask. Getting the card mask centered false, add child to the mask viewport. So let's go to my remote scene tree now. We will go into the event camera, game UI, right F container, board. Let's take a look at this. There are no children underneath the mask viewport. Okay, well that would explain that. So I'm actually not drawing any masks. Okay, all right. So maybe it's not a problem with the back buffer copy. Ah. The cards are not being added to the board until play in is called. So I just am not drawing the masks for those cards. That's why it's not working. Okay. All right, my bad. We figured it out though. I think. I don't know, maybe I should hold my tongue until it actually works. I guess it's possible that the back buffer copy will still be broken in some way, but I don't think so. Let's just try this. I'm just going to do this in an easy way to start, actually. So I'm setting the cards first. I'm setting this as a single choice board dimmer component. I guess I should make this. Let's see. Resize board and place cards. I'm just going to do this. Okay. Good old sequencing issues. Yeah, seriously. Sequencing so matters. It does. All right, let's see what happens. There we go. So my masks were not being drawn. That was the problem. Okay, so we'll get rid of this sprite here. And then I'm going to change this shader back. It works, everybody. I apologize to the Godot devs for flipping out about back puffer copy when it was my issue. Please accept my humble apology. I was having real problems with the back buffer copy earlier this morning, but this instance was an invalid complaint, so my apologies. Anyway, it works. What was the issue? So I still don't know what is causing the back buffer copy to work in this instance versus the instance that I had it in before. Oh, you know what? No, yeah, I don't know. When I was trying to use a back buffer copy individually on each card before, I still don't know what the problem was there. But here, this was just a sequencing issue, so I did not have the cards registered in my card dimmer component, and the card dimmer component is responsible for drawing all the card masks to the sub viewport. So it just wasn't drawing any card masks for the sub viewport, which is why none of the dimming could be done. So it was my problem. Once the sequencing issue is fixed, I basically can't enable the dimmer component until the cards are on the board, but I was enabling it before the cards were on the board, and so it was never actually doing the masking. Now that's a problem though. I think we want to... Well, we gotta figure that out now. This doesn't need to be here, I don't think. Good riddance, I know I couldn't sleep tonight with this issue being on my mind. Yeah, I was about to do something completely different, but I don't think that's necessary anymore. So now the problem is when I take a card off the board, that does not fade out properly. So I think what I need to do is I need to disable the dimmer component, I think. Let me think. We'll disable the dimmer component if it was enabled, and we'll see if that fixes it. That might create like a flash. The cards will go back to their standard shading for a second, but let's just see. Yeah. I mean, that's not a huge problem, I suppose. So I take one of these cards between the dimmed ones. I grab this guy, I put him here. They pop back to their normal color for a brief moment before all fading out. That's a minor issue. I don't really need to worry about that right now. That's why it would be kind of nice to have a back buffer copy in each individual card that needs to be dimmed. But I tried that this morning and that's what I couldn't get to work. Okay, we're just gonna call it good for now. If I want to fix that again later, I'll fix it later. But that is finally good to go. Okay. Sequencing in Godot is always so awkward with node instantiation. Yes, it is, yeah. And there's a different, like, some operations in Godot are like depth first, bottom up. And some operations in Godot are like top down. So yeah, it can be a little bit confusing. Okay. So we've got that working. I think what I would like to do now is, let me take a look at my obsidian board here. There's one thing that I want to do. It's more of a visual thing, but maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't really have anything useful written down here, so it's fine. Ready is depth first. Yes. So the way that ready works, this one actually kind of makes sense, is that the ready method is not called until all of the descendants of that node are ready, or have had their ready methods called. So basically, by the time you get the ready function call in your script, you're guaranteed that all of the children and all the descendants, so all the children of children, etc., are all ready and configured and ready to go. So that would make sense. So it starts depth first, and then it calls up the tree. Now make a card shining component. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. So I think what I want to do now is maybe just play the game a little bit. I think that there's going to be some currency issues here in terms of blood costs for various things. And maybe I'll just try this alchemy too and make sure that this is still working. It should still be working, but... Okay. Hence one can use a node's ready signal. Yeah. I sort of agree. I just wish I could get on ready variables available beforehand. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They need like an on init annotation or something, which will happen earlier. Okay, let's play the game a little bit and just see what I notice. I think the economy is going to need to be fixed. So maybe we'll do that. I have some debug option enabled, which I don't want to be enabled. Here we go. Alrighty. So we'll play the game a little bit, but I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break first, and then when I come back, we will see what we can do about this. So yeah, I will be right back, and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Does the player board expansion cost ramp up exponentially? It does not. It does not. The problem with well, there's a couple of things, I guess. The board cost to unlock is just the same for every cell. If I need to ramp up the cost a little bit, I will. But yeah, I just don't think, I don't think that's necessary at the moment. I'm also just kind of I feel like exponential scaling of any kind is kind of hard to balance. I actually removed a bunch of things from this game that had exponential scaling because it's just hard to work with. So I'm trying to keep the scaling of everything in the game just a lot simpler. Use low numbers, use additive scaling instead of multiplicative scaling, all that kind of stuff. And then for the cost of things, just see if keeping a constant cost to unlock board cells is fine. And if not, then I'll fix it. But I don't think it would need to exponentially increase. If anything, I might just increase the cost by 1, which I guess is kind of, well, I mean, a cost increase of 1 is kind of multiplicative, right? Because if it costs 1 additional alchemical reagent to unlock each board cell, then, if I wanted to unlock these 4, it would cost, 4 additional alchemical reagents. So it would, that cost adds up the more you do it. But I don't think I need to worry about that just yet. Why not use a curve to adjust the scaling? Because I don't want to. Because I don't want to. I want to keep the scaling relatively minor, relatively predictable. Okay. I forgot to update that code. Okay. Let's try it again. We're going to give this a play test. We're going to see what problems we notice. See if this actually brings me closer to what I wanted to do. So we'll go to Enchant Tier 1. Increases critical chance by 10%. Let's do that. Okay, go to the booster now. I want to make all these boosters free as well. I think that's what I'll do. Contains paralysis and minion cards. Voodoo Doll, Skeleton, Orbitoclast. Okay, so let's try this. Get some money out of that. Okay, I get a choice of one of these. Preserve. Copies of poison abilities of up to 1 adjacent card. Consumes all non-necrosis statuses. I kind of want this one. Let's take this one. And let's get some reagents before I do anything. Get some reagents. Beast Claw, Flint. Okay. Output cards have an additional 10% crit chance. So let's do Skull Tower and the Skeleton. Let's throw all my skeletons in there, why not? And then, wait a minute. Actually, I'm gonna go for something a little bit different here. Let's put that skeleton in there. And then let's put some beast claws. Let's see if I can get a crit skeleton, come on. 7 preserve, 4 damage with a 20% crit chance. This one has a 30% crit chance and deals 4 damage twice. But I think I would rather have the shielding. So we put that there. Put the skeleton there. Do I have enough money to do this again? Yeah, let's do it. Deal 4 damage, hex 1 random enemy minion card that deals damage. Yeah, let's do it. Hex cards convert damage dealt into self-damage. Right. Okay. This is the Grow Board event with placeholder art. Let's just go down. Okay. Let's see what happens. The arming sword is sometimes hitting itself. That's kind of funny. Goodbye. Corvid, deal 5 damage, apply 0 poison, so Corvid are 2 phylacteries. So I should probably make this, let me make that. Since you can only choose one, I'm going to disable duplicates. Allow duplicates is false. So we'll make that change. I guess we'll take the Corvid because I don't want the phylactery. Probably should increase my health. If I hit these 2 combats and the health and go to the shop, that might work. You meant residue for upgrading the board? Oh yeah. My bad. Do you know any games where you build dungeons? I think that's a cool idea from a game. I'm sure that exists, I just can't name any. Going into a new region could increase the cost for unlocking board cells. Yeah, that is an interesting idea. We'll have to see. I'm just kind of like, oh no, I'm gonna die. Am I gonna die? Come on, Necrosis, save me. Nope, I didn't die. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for problems to present themselves before I commit to doing anything. 6 fire, apply 4 preserve, double preserve applied if health is less than 50%. Actually, that might be useful. I kind of want the skeleton mage though. I don't really have a lot of damage. Let's take the skeleton mage. And then... oh, I could do this. Apply 6 fire, apply 2 fire, and then I can use my alchemical residue to unlock these. Okay. Do I still have enough money? Let's see. Increases health by 15, let's do that. We'll go fight this combat now. Let's see how this goes. Okay, definitely have more damage output now, that's good. Okay. Skeleton Warrior, Dowsing Rod. Ooh. Let's take the Dowsing Rod. So the Dowsing Rod doesn't have any abilities, but it's got a 50% natural crit chance. So that's basically just begging to be used in alchemy. Son of a biscuit, man. This eyeball is in my way now. So the eyeball just kind of wanders around the map and it increases the notoriety penalty that you get from visiting nodes by 4. So I could visit these nodes. However, the shop is not affected right now. So I could go to the shop. And we can see what we got going on here. Apply 6 preserve per allied ritual card. Do I have a ritual card? Oh, I do. Heal 4 per adjacent minion. Okay. That might actually be good. Interesting. Let's take the embalming fluid. Can I make room for this? Let's flip those around. So I need 8 alchemical residue. Okay, well, I'm gonna need to generate some alchemical residue, so let's just do this. Not enough blood. Oh, son of a biscuit. Okay. Alright, well, we'll exit the shop. I guess I could just outrun this eyeball. I'll go this way and then up that way. Let's get some reagents, I suppose. All preserve abilities of adjacent cards are guaranteed in alchemy outputs. Okay. I want to just use this embalming fluid as it is, but I don't have enough. I need to get some more blood. Dungeon Keeper and Dungeons 1 to 4 are dungeon builder games. The most evil of all boards, a double guarding sword. Yeah. Yeah, that is always a tough board. Okay, now we've got some. Oh, we got more. Let's see. Projects to adjacent allied cards, heal 2. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. Okay. So I've got embalming fluid. Can I make this work? Let's put this in the alchemy here. 50% crit chance skeleton mage. Let's do that. And then morale. I'll use the rest of my blood to get those alchemical residue. Critical multiplier reduced by 0.5x. That's fine, actually. We'll take that morale, and then we will unlock all these, and we'll put the embalming fluid there. So this is going to apply 6 preserve because I have 1 ritual card, and then it's going to also heal 8. Excellent. Let's go here. Okay, let's see what happens. So I'm not doing a whole lot of damage, but I do have quite a bit of sustain, so that's good. Now I'm thinking about a game where you assemble a team of hunters, choose hunters and their equipment, and they explore dungeons. The cauldron card that scales with surrounding reagents could also passively create residue for every battle won. Oh, that's a good idea, yeah. Ooh, hellspawn egg. I gotta take the hellspawn egg. So we're at 71 notoriety points. I've done a lot of combat. I don't have a lot of blood, though. I do want to create some extra room for this morale. So I think I can do this. Oh, that costs 5. Never mind. Actually, no, I don't have enough money. Let's see, this is 5 notoriety. So if I go to this combat and then down here, I kind of want to hit the card upgrade though. Let's go here. Hello, Emerson, welcome. Good to see you again. Let's upgrade the embalming fluid. 8 preserve per allied ritual card, heal 5 per adjacent minion, so that's good. Let's do an enchantment now. Let's see what kind of enchant I get here. Increases critical multiplier, critical chance, immune to paralysis. Let's do critical multiplier on the skeleton mage. There we go. Okay. I don't have enough blood for the shop. I could grab the artifact though. Let's grab these boosters. Get some more cards. This is a ritual item, so that would scale off of the embalming fluid. Plus it would give me extra shielding. So that's actually kind of good. I need more alchemical residue though. Let's see what I get from the artifacts here. Booster packs offer 1 additional card. All ritual cards drop 1 tier higher. First purchase at every shop is free. Oh, I can take that, and now I can actually visit the shop here and see what goodies I can get. What do I take? What do I take? I could use the spiderlings to scale this embalming fluid more. So let's take that. Ooh, I could make this work. I could make this work. Okay. So if I do, let me sell, I'm going to sell the Viper. Let's do some alchemy. Put the embalming fluid in there. Put the morel in there. Dang. Projects to adjacent, heal 4 per adjacent minion. Okay, that's not terrible, I suppose. That's not terrible. I don't think I want this. So the embalming fluid is okay now. So I take this. Oops, I almost grabbed the wrong thing. Take that, put that there. It did lose a tier, but that's all right. Well, I was going to put the giant finger on the board, but I guess that's not... Dang, that was not the outcome I was hoping for. Projects to adjacent allied cards, heal 2. I could just unlock this. Yeah, let's unlock this and move this down. So that's going to project healing to that now. Okay. And I guess we'll just go to this card upgrade, and I might as well just throw the upgrade on the embalming fluid again. Heal 3 per allied card, so I'll be healing 9. And then deal 6 damage, heal 5 per, so I'll be healing 19. Okay. That's pretty good. We'll go into the boss here. Hello, Zachary. Welcome, welcome. Projects to allied adjacent cards, apply 3 fire. Allied adjacent cards, heal 2. Apply 8 preserve. Apply 10% blind and 3 turns of paralysis to a random enemy card on the edge of the board. Okay. Deals 2 damage. Deal 4 damage per allied ritual card. 10% chance to apply paralysis to a random enemy minion for 3 turns. Alright, let's see what happens. There's quite a health differential here, but I actually am healing quite a bit. My skeleton mage is also applying a ton of fire, so that helps. Yeah, this should be good. And I have a bunch more money now. Ooh, what do I got here? Lambone ring. Skull tower again. Candle. I'm gonna sell this Orbital class. I'm not gonna use that. Maybe we take the Lambone ring. Ooh, Spiraling. Let me alchemize the Lambone ring with the giant finger there. Do I want to start introducing poison? Maybe I'll actually use the amber here to guarantee the poison abilities. Oh, it'd be really nice actually to get these on the Spiderling here because it has a low turn cooldown. So I actually throw that in there as well. See what happens. My game crashed. Program crashed with signal 11. Crash handler exception. That's unfortunate. Just watching this run seems much more interesting than runs in the past with all the new systems in place. I agree. I actually found, up until the crash, I actually found that really, really engaging. And I actually don't know if I need to make any changes to the blood economy because alchemy is so much more incentivized now that, and it still costs blood to do alchemy. So there's this constant tension between spending your blood on alchemy to increase the power of your board, spending your blood on alchemy to get the alchemical residue so that you can unlock new cells. I'm getting a steady supply of new cards, which are constantly making me think and rethink my board, where previously I could only get them from boosters, right? So I think all in all, I think all the changes that I've made recently to the alchemy system and to the combat rewards and everything, I think it is making the game a lot more engaging. Now the problem with that run though is I did not really have many opportunities for like really good synergies, and that I was still early in the run. I only got to the first boss out of 3. But I think what I'm realizing is that I probably need to have more cards or change some cards so that they have more explicitly synergistic abilities. Like I was building up a lot of fire right there, so what I would have loved in that situation is some kind of card to give me fire. And I had the Hellspawn egg, which I was waiting to hatch, but I would have loved to have some kind of ability that scales explicitly off of fire that I could like synergize. But yeah, I was having a lot of fun with that actually. That was very engaging. More engaging than the previous versions of the game, I think. So I'm very happy with the changes. I think the changes are a good step forward. I can see that there's already more decision making during the run with these new systems. Very nice. Yeah, I agree. I was not expecting that, yeah. So I'm actually very happy with how this little set of experimentation has come up. I still want to remove the booster costs, I think, because it's almost never attractive to spend money on a booster. So I think what I want to do is since the booster options are now giving you 3 different card abilities as well as 3 different tags in each booster. No, each booster has a guaranteed card ability and a guaranteed tag, but they're all different. So you're not going to get 2 boosters that each have a minion tag on them. So I think if I just make all the boosters free, that will create more interesting decisions. Because as it stands right now, every time I went to a booster, I just took the free one. So there wasn't really a choice. I didn't want to spend my money on boosters because the money was such in short supply. So I think I'm just going to remove the booster cost from the other boosters, make them all free. And that should help as well. I think the pacing is pretty good. I think the combat difficulty feels right. It's going to require some more playtesting and of course your feedback as well, but tried alchemizing Lambone Ring, Ember Giant Finger, and Spiderling when it crashed. Maybe start a debug run and try that again. Yeah, I might as well. Let's do it. Let's just see if I'm doubting, because I don't think it would have crashed, but let's just try it. I doubt that it's going to cause a crash again. But we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. Thank you for taking a note of that, by the way. Will you gather any sort of metadata from players to balance the game, or just input from players through Discord? Yeah, right now I'm just doing a vibes-based. I'm doing the balancing based on how I feel about the game, but also based on the feedback from players. So I did this, but the amber was here, so let's do it again. Yeah, it didn't crash this time. So I didn't think that it was that combination of cards that caused it to crash. Usually when you get that kind of crash message where it was like program crash with signal 11 or whatever, something went wrong in Godot in that situation. But yeah, it's good to verify at least that was not the cause of the crash. So yeah, tweaks. We'll just call it tweaks, I guess. I am very much enjoying these changes, though. I think they're great. I think they're good for the game. So I'll just move ahead then with polishing up those systems, doing some more art for that board. We still have to figure out what to do about the grow board. I was mulling around the other day about just removing the grow board event entirely, and some of you suggested to just grow the board after you beat a boss, which is certainly an option. I kind of like the idea of just giving the player a fixed board size for the entire run, though. And just not having the player able to grow the board size at all. That will require some experimentation as well, but yeah, just the idea of having just like a 4x4 or whatever it was, 4x4 board, and that's all the space that you get. Now the problem with that though is that if you unlock all the spaces on your board, then there's no use for alchemical residue anymore as a currency. So there's definitely some thinking to do about that, but yeah, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Anyway, that's going to be it for the stream for tonight. Thank you all for attending this bonus stream. Did like 4.5 hours of streaming today, so I hope you enjoyed those, and thank you all for your support. Very much appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. I hope to see you all there. And yeah, we're just working towards getting another prototype out, another playtest out that you guys can play. I'm trying to aim for the end of this month or near the end of this month to do that playtest. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm happy with all of the changes that I've made since the last playtest, and so I don't know if I'm going to do anything else that's too drastic here. Mostly, I think I'm just going to try to get this version feeling very nice, and then we'll do another playtest. We'll get all your feedback, and we're just going to keep doing that. That's how we're going to iterate on this game. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, hope you all have a great evening or morning or wherever you are, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.